The ancestor of bloodfish was thought to have been a barb in the Puntius genus. It was theorized that the ancestral bloodfish was introduced to Skull Island around 3,000 years ago by Proto-Malayans who sought to settle the island. The barb was likely imported as a domestic food fish. Exactly how the islanders transported the fish to the island is an enigma, however the success of their efforts hint at an extremely high level of technological sophistication. The scourge of the waterways of Skull Island was the swarming killer eel. Appropriately named, the bug-eyed fish were lethal in numbers. When attacking, their razor-sharp teeth shredded skin and flesh to ribbons in no time. Not true eels, but a unique species related to lampreys, killer eels staked claim to sections of river they patrolled and guarded jealously. Schools of up to 100 hunted together. Injured or sick prey, fish or reptile, were the preferred variety. An aggressive predator of the rivers, the needlemouth is a gar-like holost found throughout the streams and tributaries of the island. They are swift and maneuverable, able to navigate the leaf-chalked jungle streams in pursuit of their favored prey. These impressive hunters are the sharks of the waterways. While many of the reptilian river carnivores are ambush predators, needlemouths chase down their fast-moving prey, matching their speed and turns in flat-out races. Sepulchro was capable of an impressive gape. Even fish or other aquatic animals close to its own size were sometimes taken, the stomach being expandable to admit very large prey. A relic of a long-gone age, the large arrow-headed amphibian called the inox has remained largely unchanged since its ancestors in the Carboniferous and Permian periods. The wide meat-eaters prefer to lurk in the stagnant pools and weed-clogged marshes of Skull Island's waterways, where murky water and floating scum help mask their presence. Despite possessing legs, the inox prefers not to leave the water unless compelled to do so, either by lack of food or shrinking territory in times of drought. The ungainly tetrapod animal is capable of hauling itself short distances over land but is vulnerable out of the water. The long reptilian predator Turtocassus, with its long neck and sinuous build, was a lithe hunter of the flooded forests and deeper rivers, where it preyed upon fish and turtles. Turtocassus had a unique trick for dealing with the turtles that made the bulk of its diet. Retreating into their shells afforded no protection to the armored turtles. The relentless Turtocassus could plunge its long, tubular head into the head or limb openings of the shell, literally devouring the turtle from the inside out, leaving an empty husk of carapace behind. An ambush predator, Pteranodon tends to lie in wait near the river banks, using its sensitive barbels to detect the approach of potential prey, as its eyes are poor and can only see differences between light and dark. A surge of its enormous body, and it will lunge out of the water, taking its prey in its jaws, either killing it with a massive bite or dragging it down below the surface to drown. Pteranodon also use their lunging ability and powerful pectoral fins to occasionally beach themselves on a shaded river bank. Once ashore, birds, lizards, and other scavengers will flock to the huge fish, picking it clean of innumerable parasites. An aquatic reptile from the same family as the sinuous Turtocassus, the Eudosaurus is a compact, bullet-headed carnivore that hunts the rivers of Skull Island in packs of half a dozen. Air breathers, Eudosauruses could dive for up to 3 minutes, herding schools of their preferred prey, small fish, into cul-de-sacs or close to the surface where they could be cornered. Individuals took turns surging into the cluster to grab mouthfuls of fish. The dirt turtle was a curious addition to Skull Island's cast of zoological misfits. It was a remarkable species but only for its habit of eating the feces of other river inhabitants like Malamagnuses. Their fecal diet was supplemented with insects and snails. The species was effectively a marshland cleanup crew, removing waste left by dinosaurs and other large animals using the waterways. The Skull Island egret is a bird native to the island, while most were found throughout Southeast Asia. They seem to have a special relationship with Skull Island's many ceratopsians, and the sauropods Brontosaurus and Diablosaurus. Often found in flocks, they hitch rides on Skull Island's tanky herbivores, cleaning parasites off of them in exchange for a ride. A curiosity even on an island of curiosities, the scissorhead is quite possibly the strangest predator on the island. Actually a variety of pterosaur, the species has given up flight entirely, becoming bipedal, specializing to an extreme. Slender and stilt-legged, it has an oversized, scissor-like head with interlocking rows of fine, comb-like teeth. The legs are oddly proportioned, with long shins that elevate the creature above the streams where it hunts bony fish with its unusual head. The forelimbs have evolved into tiny flipper-like appendages, while the tail is shortened and stiff. The functions of these bizarre characteristics become clear when the reptile enters the water. Living in fast-running streams, the scissorhead prowls the shallows like a heron but can also hold its breath and dive beneath the water to chase down prey along the bottom. Specialized eyes minimize the effect of glare on the water. Cunningly, they choose hunting spots that are shaded by cliffs or overhanging vegetation to further cut down reflections that might impede their ability to spot bony fish below the surface. Adapted to pin slippery, fast-moving bony fish, the jaws are similar to the gharial crocodilian of Asia. Even bony fish almost 3 feet long are no match for the bite of Ambuloquasaurus, with its lightning reflexes and eyesight every bit as keen as the edge on its teeth. Malamagnus have enormous jaws for non-mammalian synapsids of their size. While herbivorous, their impressive tusk-like teeth are employed in contests of dominance. Rivals lock jaws like battling stags and try to force one another aside. Powerful neck muscles are the key in the contest, and young males will hone their strength in mock battles. Skull Island's swampwings are among the oddest results of selective pressures on an otherwise defenseless food source. In response to the threat of predation, a variety of frog has evolved with enlarged membranes between their front digits and back along their forelimbs to their tails in a feature analogous to a bat's wings. While the forelimbs are enlarged, the rear legs are small by frog standards and their ability to jump is limited to a boost for takeoffs. Swampwings are not accomplished flyers. It is a barely controlled glide, punctuated by rapid flapping fits. However, it is enough to get them from tree to tree in the swamps and away from bigger predators in the water or on land. Vulturosaurs, despite appearances, are not pterosaurs. In fact, they are the sole surviving representatives of a remarkable second dynasty of airborne theropods that have developed bat-like wing membranes instead of feathered wings. Their wings are divided by extended fingers like bats. Broad and supple, their wings are able to be realigned with ease in flight. Their flapping is not as efficient as either a bird's or bat's but is more than sufficient to keep them aloft. Thanks to huge herbivores, impressive deposits of dung are abundant on Skull Island. The Skull Island dung beetle tirelessly harvests small balls of dinosaur scat, burying them for later. The beetle's principal enemy is the white wedgehead, a 30 cm lizard that specializes in eating them. Night on the ground on Skull Island is a dangerous time and place to be if you are small. Among the invertebrate predators, few had jaws that could compete with those of the moon spider. Rodents, lizards, ground birds, and even dinosaur chicks were potential victims. A bite from the sizable arachnid can cause significant discomfort to even an adult dinosaur. Moon spiders hunt at night to avoid becoming prey to diurnal birds and other large hunters. Arachnoclaw live in the caves branching off from chasm walls. There they remain until their antennae sense that something has fallen into their domain. They have 6 legs that are used to walk, with 2 crab-like claws under their mouths, which are used to rip prey into easily digestible pieces. They have a very strange life cycle that begins when the parents lay microscopic eggs in rotting carrion. Most are either killed by other scavengers or drowned in the muddy water that collects in the bottom of the pit. Decarnocymex are flesh-eating, oversized encipherans, related to crickets, with bladed forelegs for tearing apart carcasses of any other creature, such as a treetops. Aggressive hunters as well as scavengers, Decarnocymex will attack smaller animals unfortunate enough to fall into their hellish domain, carving them up with their claws and razor-sharp mandibles. Dwarfing its closest competitor for the title, the Stachylophus is the largest arachnid to have ever lived. Although it is mostly legs, this spider is huge by comparison with any other spider species, even the Goliath bird-eating spider that previously held the record. A Stachylophus feeds on birds, but these specific birds are as tall as, or taller than, humans. They are also partial to dinosaurs. A spider that eats dinosaurs. If ever there is a single animal that exemplifies nature's insanity on Skull Island, the Stachylophus is it. Blind diplectors are giant, unique, terrestrial crabs that live in the cracked and crumbling rock walls of the abyssal fissures that spider-web the shattered island. Hanging in place, with their enormous pincers folded almost mantis-style in front of them, they wait for small prey to pass the mouths of their holes. Their long antennae are sensitive to vibrations in the air, enabling them to pinpoint prey despite lacking eyes. When lunging, diplectors throw all their weight into the attack, relying on elastic and stringy excretions from their abdomens to tether them to the rock, preventing a fall. At will, they can sever these sticky anchor cords to move about freely. Among the most specialized of Skull Island's neopede was the Scorpiopede. Though not the largest of these strange descendants of centipedes, they were by far the most numerous. Colonies of the invertebrates thrived wherever bodies of water were bordered by sufficient crops of their favored food, algae. As larvae they were predatory swimmers. As adults they lived around the waterline. Scorpiopedes grazed algae from logs, rocks and tree trunks with their shear-like mouthparts. The sap snail is a common, terrestrial, tree-dwelling Cerithoidean snail from the jungles of Skull Island. Plentiful throughout the dense forest, sap snails are climbing mollusks that feed from the trunks of several species of tree. Their thick, whorled shells protect them from most would-be predators of Noxomuscus's size. Undisputedly the most repulsive denizen of the hellish rents in the Skull Island interior is the Carnictus. Writhing, serpentine, shaped vermicular carnivores of the tepid sludge that suffocate the depths of the chasms, they are feeders on the dead and wounded. Carnictus are slow-moving but relentless. Lacking eyes or a face of any sort, Carnictus are little more than an animated stomach that folds in and out of itself with obscene undulation. Flatworms similar to the related parasitic tapeworms that can infest other species of animals such as humans, the ancestors of the Carnictus lived in the guts of large predatory dinosaurs, where they devoured the half-digested flesh swallowed by their hosts. At some point in their history, these gut parasites must have evolved so they could survive outside the confines of their hosts' intestinal tracts. Flying non-mammalian cynodonts, pugbats are nocturnal pack hunters specializing in taking down large prey. Families of up to 15 adults and their young nest in hollow trunks and sheltered hollows created by fallen trees on the edges of the lowland plains, emerging at sundown to hunt in the half-light before full dark. Spooking the herd with eerie calls, the pack will swoop down en masse on young or sick individuals they have isolated amid the throng, instinctively aiming for the throat and stomach, where thinner skin grants access to more blood vessels. Emerging at night is a new cast of creatures in Skull Island's lowlands. The insectivorous Velocirictus, a diminutive cousin of Pteropusmerdax, is one of these creatures. It leaves its daytime roosts in caves and hollow trees to hunt on the wing at dusk. With impressive night vision, the bat-like predator is able to hunt insects on all but the darkest nights. Viciously territorial, mated pairs or single individuals maintain zero tolerance on interlopers near their roosts, especially when young are present. Deaths in airborne territorial disputes are not unheard of and, as prey for larger carnivores, defiant Velocirictus will fight, bitterly biting and scratching to the last breath.